Here you go.
I missed last week.
It's okay.
Great, thank you.
Okay. I'm just getting ready. Some other people trickling in. Some people went to the restroom, and I just went online so those people can see and they can get ready.
Your class tonight, is that the same as?
Class tonight is in Missouri City.
It said CBS.
Oh, shoot. I sent it to the wrong people.
Yeah, because
Oh, no. I put it on the email the wrong place.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
So
did.
what is the tonight's
It's
class?
CBE. You're right. Oh, man. I got to send
What
out
is
that.
tonight's class?
It's on Getting to Know Your Soul. Getting to Know Your Soul is written by Itamar Schwartz.
So that's not the same as this class.
Oh, no. Oh, no, but you're invited.
I need the address. I don't know where it is.
Oh, where Beth L is?
I've never been there.
Ah, Amy will help you.
Okay, okay.
If not, at the end of class, okay? Because I'm also, I just know where turn left, turn right. That's my,
Well, when I saw
it took me like a year to figure it
when I saw it
out.
was CBS, I said, great, that's close.
Oh, gosh, I blew it. So I get them so confused because they both begin with CB. CBE, CBS, oh, shoot.
You might
Well,
send it out again.
I got responses that some people said, I'll be there.
Yeah, they're all going to be at CBS.
No, I better send out another email after this class. Okay, fine. Okay, we're waiting for anybody else?
Lori.
Jane.
Lori's coming.
Lori, how do you know Lori's coming?
Because I was with her for breakfast.
She took that extra long breakfast. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2
We
3.
need some copies. She needs some. She's coming.
That's all good. She'll come whenever she comes.
Yes.
Okay.
And I need a copy because I wasn't here last.
Oh, here. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna start. Okay.
All right.
Are we ready?
Ready?
Okay, so last week, this is class 2, right? Creating Angels, just to give the advertisement. If anybody's not in Partners in Torah, please come see me after the class. We have a great Wednesday night program, Partners in Torah, at 8 o'clock in the evening. We can pair you up with a one-on-one session. If you're not already doing it, please, I invite everybody and anybody here online who wants to come. It's an awesome, awesome program that we have. Also, I'm giving a class tonight at Bethel. Thank you. Bethel, Missouri City, on Getting to Know Your Soul. That is an awesome text from Rabbi Itamar Schwartz, author of the Bilvavi, another Sefer, big Talmud Chacham, who brings an unbelievable insights into understanding our midot, our character traits. So, that one I can't be online, but of course we could put it on the podcast or the SoundCloud, okay? And we can get you recordings of that, okay? Anyway, so now we're starting here, the class here on what we are talking about here, which is Creating Angels. The title of the book. I wanted to originally call the book The Kosher Thought Diet. But my wife says, oh, I don't like that. It's not flowery. Okay, so we have to make it a little bit more. So Creating Angels, okay? So as we did learn last night that, last week, sorry, a couple of points that we always have to understand and you always have to keep them in mind, and you cannot not integrate it enough. This is reprogramming. We're involved in reprogramming ourselves to think differently. Okay? So, because why do we need to think differently? Because really what we're talking about is everything depends upon the thoughts that we think. So now a couple of ideas of understandings that we went through last week, which was our life is like a garden, and specifically our mind is like a garden. Okay? The idea of our mind being like a garden, which is always going to grow whatever seeds that we sprout in it. Okay? So if you plant corn, you're not going to get wheat. Okay? If you plant pomegranates, you're not going to get grapes. Okay? And the real dynamic, though, of course, very much like whatever seeds that you're going to plant in your oven, in your ground, it's going to sprout. In other words, your mind is constantly creating. And also we say like the mind is like an oven. It will cook whatever you put in. If you put dirt, if you put a mud pie in, it's going to bake mud. And if you put something flavorful in, okay, then it'll bake something that's edible, okay? Nevertheless, the principle here is it is always creating. It is always making. Don't get freaked out. But it is a awesome concept that you are constantly creating things with the thoughts that you think. Now, why do we say it? Where does this creative principle come from? Our creativity comes from the fact that first thing is we were created in the image and likeness of God. As we know, the image and likeness of God is also the creator. Elohim, Selam Elohim. That Elohim, as we saw last week from the Nefesh HaChaim, from Rav Chaim Volushin, who is a student of the Vilna Gaon, who picked upon that word, so Elohim means like master of abilities, master of all forces. Now, we're not to that extent of master of all abilities, master of all forces, but a great degree of us are. We are. There's a principle in us which is masters all forces and has unbelievable potential. And really, truthfully, I know all of us can agree that we really don't know our own potential. Okay? And we're trying to get there. Okay? And a lot of times we have to be put in situations where it has to be forced out of us, our potential. I remember once a story that there was a boat that was sinking in the ocean. And, of course, everybody had to abandon the ship. And they went to the captain and they said, well, we have a choice. Which are we going to go in the dinghies that are going to be for oars, or are we going to go into with the motorboats, the motorboat dinghies, the motorboat rescue? What do you call it? Little dinghies. Dinghies are the little ships, right? So what did the captain choose? Of course, he chose the boats with the oars. Tossy, turny ocean, but motors burn out. But if you have the manpower and the strength and the koach that can come out from a person, we don't even know. I will definitely safely say we don't know our own potential. And now another thing that I didn't read from the note last week in terms of being in the likeness and image of man. The likeness and image of God is, I'm looking for a marker, okay, is that we are also, I said last week, in the image and likeness of God. Yud Kei Vav Kei, we're in that image. Even physically, we're in the image of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yud Kei Vav Kei, Yud is like the head. Yud Kei Vav Kei is the name of God. Here, I'll write it like this. Right, Yud, I put a dot here because I really don't like to write God's name. And I put a kuf here, okay, which is really a hey, okay. So this is Yud, and this is a K, which is really like this letter here, and a Vav and a K. So the Yud Kei Vav Kei, our heads are like a Yud. It's like a dot. Hey is two parts to it. It's like our arms. The Vav is our torso, and our legs are like the final hay. So in a physical way, okay? But then again, in a more dynamic way, if you want to think about it, the inner name of Yud Kei Vav Kei, and the innermost part of it, okay, is, the way that it's explained according to the Kabbalists, is these two letters are considered to be mental letters. A Yud, which is basically a dot, okay? Just one dot on the page. The Yud represents the seed. Okay, we're talking about gardens here. Okay? The seed, but something, a lot of times we get thoughts in our heads, ideas, and all of a sudden, and then sometimes you can't pronounce it yet. It takes a while to go ahead and churn it out and put it together so that you can express it, right? So it starts off as like this, like synapse, like that famous cartoon, the light bulb above the head. I got an idea. Let's build an amusement park. Okay? So then the Yud is like that first idea. And then Hey represents, okay, in the mind, I want to build a house. And obviously, you're using your mind and all of the faculties of your mind to picture and envision how you want that house to look like. How many rooms, how many bathrooms, make sure there's 3. Okay, so, and then maybe 4 bathrooms, okay? And then you want to have this and this and this, and what do you want it for? What do you want the house for? And you're answering all kinds of questions, and you're putting the image in your mind, okay? So that's why it's like in your mind already, sometimes you get a will, and then all of a sudden you have to like put that will lay it out in a format in your mind. And then you'll have the Vav. The Vav actually, is a line that goes from top to bottom. It is the taking these ideas and bringing it down to the expression of the final hey. That's why we have actually this hey, this letter in the name of God, and this letter are the same letters. Okay? That means whatever you were thinking of in your mind, of course, because we have this, what we call it, a servo mechanism in our brains, a goal-oriented machine. Our minds work like that. We're goal-oriented. To, of course, work towards getting to that final hey. So here is your house envisioned in your brain. And then finally, after you get the architects, get the lumber, get the wood, get the building, then finally the end goal, the end picture, you're sitting in the house that you originally thought of. Got it? That's Yud Kei Vav Kei. So really how I translate Yud Kei Vav Kei, if you look in the note there on page 2 in the opposite, right there on the top of this page here, it's the first page, just on there. So I say here, actually, the Kabbalistic meaning of the name of the Tetragrammaton, Yud Kei Vav Kei, means thought manifest. Thought, here, manifest. That's what Yud Kei Vav Kei means. Okay? The first letter Yud, I said, which is the first thought in seed form, it has no detailed plan or image of expression. Like if you cut open a seed, any kind of seed, you don't see the whole tree in there or the plant or the vegetable. You don't see little cucumbers in a little cucumber seed. Okay? It needs to be put into the fertile ground of bina, of hay. In order for it to break up, you have to break up the thought and put it into a step by step how it's going to look, what's your vision, and everything like that. You have a question?
It is all the sphero.
It's all the sphero. It's all the sphero.
The top three and then the one.
Absolutely. You have a question? Okay. So here we have the first thing is a thought, and you have to put the thought in the ground, meaning bina. Bina is the ground, is the garden. The next letter, hey, right, is the detailed imagery or visualization in the mind. The next letter, vav, is the force that implements the mental plan. And the final letter, hey, is the actualization of the original letter hey. Hence, we have Yud Kei Vav Kei means thought manifest. It's very powerful when you think about it. This is actually why I say, I mean, we did lose a tradition. You're not allowed to say this name as it is written. Okay, we pronounce in the language of Adonut, Aleph Dalet. We pronounce a different name when we say this name in prayers and everything. We lost the tradition of how to say it. Was one explanation. The other explanation is, why we don't say that name is, we're not on the level. We're not holy enough. We're all considered to be on a level of tuma, lack of life energy, or where we would come in contact with the dead because we just don't have the level of kedusha, of holiness, where we can say that name and affect its proper outcome. Okay? They say that the Mashiach will have this weapon, this sword. The Zohar brings down that this is the sword that the Mashiach in the end of days uses against armies. And we see in the story of Rabbi Nachman, if anybody remembers the story of Rabbi Nachman's master of prayer, where there was a mighty warrior who had a sword. And that sword, he would just wave it in the direction of the enemy, and they would all fall back. And then he would wave the other edge of the sword in the direction of the enemy, and then all of their flesh would melt off their bones. Okay? Not a good way to go, but it's effective. Okay? Okay? You have a question, Anthony?
Well, a lot of them is just...
Don't with us. We're all waiting here, man.
No.
I understand that.
So it's like the Bob is kind of like the small face, and then the last hey, the final one is like
Malchut.
Malchut.
That's exactly how it is in the relative to the Partsufim. That is correct.
Okay.
Okay? Yes, Za, this is Za, Zeranpin, small face, and this is Nukva, feminine. Hey is feminine letters, Yud is masculine letters. Lots to talk about that, but we're not getting into that right now. We're getting into the creative aspect. The creative aspect is that we are in the image and likeness of God. This is our image and likeness. We're always going to be involved, whether we like it or not, in thought manifest. That's how we function. So therefore, you got to be aware of the thoughts in your brain. Okay? So now we went on. We're going to continue where we were last week. So what do we mean that we spoke last week of B'derech shadam rotzeh lelech molichin oso in Hebrew. In the way which a man wants to go, they lead him. Who was the they? We explained it. That sounds like Ricky Ricardo. Okay? Splain, Lucy, splain. Okay? I'll splain. Okay? The way we explained last week was that every thought that we think, there is a malach that is created, an angel that is created, a force, an energy that only brings us to fruition whatever it is, the nature of that thought, be it good or bad. The source where we learn this from, actually it brings down in Gemara and Makos, there are 3 sources for this. Okay? They bring down 3 different places. I'll bring you the text next week. I didn't want to get too much into the text. That's why I didn't bring it in here, because you can get bogged down. The main text that they actually did bring was the case of Bilam. That Bilam, the wicked prophet who was hired to go and curse the Jewish people, he was originally sent, King Balak sent emissaries, messengers, go hire him. We want to hire you to go curse the Jewish people, because they rule in their mouth. Their force is in their mouth. They pray. We need another guy who can use mouth for the anti-mouth. Moses' mouth versus your mouth, Bilam. So we need a mouth guy. We need a prophet, somebody who can utter the curse. And so he, of course, as anybody who remembers the narrative, he says, you guys got to stay here. This is how I talk to God. You guys camp out. And I talk to God at night, and then I'll have an answer you to by the morning. Of course, God comes to him in the dream that night. And he has a dialogue with God. Who are these people? Right? And Bilam says, they want me to go curse the Jewish people. Can I? Please? And God says, no. They're blessed. So he goes and tells the guys, God doesn't let me go out and play. Okay? So basically they have to go home broken, and they go back to King Balak, and they go, no, he said, And he says, well, okay, we're going to send some more important dignitaries. We're going to send Obama, okay? He's not busy now, right? We'll send somebody really important like the Clintons, or, I don't know, somebody important. Or let's send, who's Trump's son-in-law? The Kushner. No, but he's Jewish. Send somebody not Jewish, okay? In any case, you get my drift. You get my drift. Somebody important. Somebody who you're like, okay, they're coming. Ooh, okay? So let's somebody more important. Sorry, I'm getting too colorful here, okay? It was the espresso that I just had. Okay? So in any case, they get somebody more important to come, more important dignitaries who come and they ask him a second time, Bilam. Bilam says the same thing, same protocol. You guys stay up here in the morning. I talk to God. I'll have an answer to you by the morning. This time, the conversation goes different. He's talking to God, and he says, they want me to go curse the Jewish people. And God says, if these men come to call you, go with them. And that's where we say, well, what happened here? What's going on? God doesn't change his mind. Okay? It doesn't happen. Ani Hashem lo shanisi. I don't change my mind. I don't change. You got my opinion. Okay? I expressed my opinion. But your will, you've been creating all of these forces all of this time to go, so go. It's a weird kind of scenario when you think about it. It's like, what happens here? It's like you got God's opinion, but yet here you keep forcing the issue. What are you doing to your destiny when you keep forcing the issue? Obviously, you're changing an expression. You're going to be involved. There will be an expression. It will be God's expression in the end. How do you want that expression to occur? So the force of his thoughts, his will, said, okay, you want to go with him? Go with him. God says, go. But you know what is going to come out of your mouth in the end is up to me. Okay? But obviously, the force, it happens a lot of times, even in this day. L'tzari harav, I say, because a lot of times people will go ask rabbis questions. And I've been in yeshiva for a while, and even in the yeshiva we know this, and I shouldn't be saying this, really, I shouldn't be. It's how you ask the question. And of course, who you go to. And obviously people are thinking, and they're making calculations in their mind. who to ask and how to ask it. And then, of course, then that'll be whatever the rabbi says, right? Well, the bottom line is, and I've heard many rabbis say, a lot of times, people, they go and ask opinions. Does anybody really, really, really deeply want to know what's God's opinion? And do they really, even if they hear God's opinion and it's not to their favor and liking, will they follow it? Okay? The reality is, though, if you do ask a rabbi for a psak, that means a decision in law, you must follow it. You're not allowed to dilly-dally and go ask another rabbi for a second opinion. We do, however, and I shouldn't be sharing this with you, they say if you go to the rabbi and ask for advice, that's different. Once you ask for a psak, a decision, you have to follow it. But if you ask for advice, okay, then you can dilly-dally, which we're not supposed to do. It's not kosher. So here's obviously the force of Bilam and the malachim that he's been creating, and that's where you have to understand your will. You have to understand your direction and what do you want. Okay, what do you want? Obviously, Bilam wanted to go and curse him. He hated the Jewish people. He has a big bad history, always being involved to wanting the demise of the Jewish people. And he was a great opportunity for him to win-win. I'll get rich and do what I want to do. So God said, go with it. So the answer was the force of your will is creating these angels. So that's the one opinion. That's one source where we bring down where, in the way which a man wants to go, they lead him. So even God could have one path for you. You can actually alter, to some degree, that path. It'll always come out in the end, God's will be done. However, you can either produce or express a positive expression, or you can do it in a negative expression, as what happened with Bilam at the end. He had to go home, disgrace, an absolute disgrace. Don't forget, he tried to curse the Jewish people 3 times, and then all of a sudden at the end, Balak just does this hand clap and go, you're finished. You are a disgrace. So basically he had to go home completely, just his life was over, his popularity, everything about him was done. Okay? So therefore, it came out an embarrassing situation for Bilam. Okay? He went, right? But he wasn't successful at the end, because success is always determined by God. Okay? Okay, so now, going here. Go on. It's okay. I just raise your hand so I could turn off this thing. It's okay.
Doesn't God give you a certain amount of discernment of your own?
Free will.
Absolute free will.
Yeah.
But the free will is, what's your opinion, God? Versus, I got all these feelings inside me. I want this, I want that, I want that. How can I align my desires, my will, with your will? Because you really have to have emunah and trust deep down to know God loves us and he has the best plan for us. And he has a great path set out for us. So if you're coming with will and trust and you know God's plan is the ultimate plan, and even though inside your will is going in different directions, I really want this, or I really would like that. How do I really, inside me, my whole kishkas, to be in alignment with what's best for me and what you would want for me? Okay? And now, then you go to God. Your next step is, I'm feeling this, and I really would like this. Okay? So then, there's ways where your prayer can affect that you can actually get that, and it is actually the best thing for you. Okay? Prayer is the way to develop the vessel. And that's chapter 3 or 4 down here. Okay? So you're a little bit a step ahead, but but we'll get there. Okay? All right. Going on. Okay? Okay. I think we're on this page here. What can we mean here by angel? Is that where I left off last time? Anybody help me out here? Okay. Page 2. Sorry I don't have page numbers here. Okay? Don't ask me. It's complicated. How do we understand it in terms of what we read about in the Bible? Okay? Because you have to understand some angels are going to be powerful than others. And what do we understand in angel? When we talk about an angel, a malach in Hebrew. So classically, we define angel as an incorporeal spiritual being with no shape or form, in which the angel could impart information or prophecy to the person, as we know from anybody who studied Bible and Nach and Avim and everything, including Moshe Rabbeinu, which is a direct connection to God. For some people, of course, an angel conjures up images of a half-naked winged baby flying through the air, right? Some people have different images, for their past, wherever they were associated with, whatever upbringing that they were raised, wherever part of the world. Some picture in their mind a female-like figure in a flowing white gossamer gown, crowned with a glowing halo, okay? So everybody has different imageries of angels. When I first say the word angel, of course, we have to change that. Part of this class is kind of a rewiring. We have to take away from our past association, neuro-association, with what we think, or in the past, of what an angel is and what is going to be a new idea or concept. And then there are people who wouldn't venture a guess, which is a great one, because it's better to come in with a clean slate, okay? So how does this idea with what we are discussing here, right? So I'm going to try to explain to you what angels are. Okay, Anthony.
Yeah, just another question or idea. Like, they also can be like translucent spheres that disappear and disappear. No?
Okay, so there's different types of angels that it brings down. Rabbi Kaplan explains very well in the Sefer Yetzirah. Certain angels are very transient. They come in, pop in and out of existence. And certain angels are like an archangel, which they do maintain like a consistent existence, like Michael, Gabriel. Those are angels created by God, which have a more permanent existence. But then there's the ones who are one-timers. They're in, they're out, right? They're there to function as almost like we have functions in ourselves. When you think about it, quite similarly, our brains come up with to move our hand. What happens? Of course, there's a signal sent to move the hand. It happens in milliseconds, very fast electrical impulses are transferred from the brain to the body or to wherever part that the mind decrees to move. Very much similar. God has an idea in mind and sends out that to have a expression or a manifestation. Hence the angel goes and fills. Angels have one-track minds, do the will. Right? Just like your hand only has one-track mind. When the mind says, I want you to lift, lift. That's all it is. And when its lift is over, it's gone. Right? Different kinds of angels. Okay? But let's just get into the idea or concept. As I expressed one concept just now, it has a one-track mind. Okay? Because really we know that angels are only supposed to do one purpose only. Okay? So here. Angels wrote here are energies. That's the first thing to understand. You have to lose all of your past notions of what you think an angel is and try to get in terms of an energy, and we're going to explain it here right now. Okay? So let's look closer at this concept of energies. We can all agree that there are thoughts which consistently make you feel happy, make you feel certain ways, There are all thoughts that go through your mind, hopefully, certain thoughts, make you feel a certain way, okay? Maybe the thought of your child or grandchild warms your heart with happiness. Everybody think of their kids. Think of your favorite kid. Think of your favorite dog, or whatever it is. Think of your dog, or your cat, or whatever it is, okay? Think of the feeling, though. Just be aware right now, the feeling that it produces, okay? Perhaps thinking about filing your tax return brings on feelings of anxiety or dread. Okay, everybody get nervous. We're in January. Oh my gosh, it's coming. Okay? Okay, or whatever. It could be a whole slew of things, right? But you could admit that every thought is going to produce an energy in your body, a feeling tone. Okay? Whether positive or negative. And some are just blah. Okay? But remembering, let's think about this. But remembering your upcoming vacation in the Bahamas lifts your mood. Okay, taxes, woo. And then you go, Bahamas, Okay? Feeling tone. Let's call these feelings feeling tones. Specific thoughts elevate and inspire you, making you feel charged, while other thoughts make you feel depressed and bring you down. Everybody knows this. If you haven't had the experience, now try to get that experience in you and try to get the awareness in you right now. It's a feeling tone. Thoughts create feelings. They should create feelings. Okay? And this is, I'm talking about the most forceful thoughts. Okay? Simply put, thoughts create a vibrational force. An energy force that pulls you to carry out that thought. Energies that propel us to our destiny, and this is the principle of what we call resonance. And thank God, Baruch Hashem, I was able to find my tuning forks. Okay? Bing! We're going to do the tuning fork experience. Let's see if we can do it and get it done, and it will come out in the recording. Okay? What I have here are 2 A's and what we call an E, if you've ever tuned a piano before. Okay? We got to do this, folks, because it's cool. Okay? Okay? So if I strike, right, an A, we all hear it? Slightly. So slightly. It's hard. If I strike an A, right, it makes an A sound. Okay? Now, if I strike it with another A, what happens is it keeps going. Actually, until you can hear it here, it also carries the vibration to the similar vibration. Let me finish this, okay? Write it down, okay? Okay? So if I strike this with an A and touch it, what happens? It carries the same, very slightly, the vibrational force, the energy the vibration will carry. What happens if I take an E and touch it? What happened? It stops. Okay? This is the simple rule. It's so simple. Okay? But basically the rule is an A is a certain vibrational force that you create within you. The A only knows how to affect or be affected by something of a similar vibration. Like things attract. Like vibrations attract. The energy that you resonate with are only going to be in harmony with experiences and conditions which are in the same wavelength. This is a huge rule, that your thoughts create a vibrational force within you, and that vibrational force only knows how to attract experiences which are in the same likeness of that thought, of that energy. An A and an E don't connect. Okay? And we're going to get to this later on throughout the entire book, because the energy is where it is at. And then now the strength of that energy, the strength of that vibrational force, right? By given, if it's a greater strong, it's going to produce that greater experience. Okay? Just cut to the chase, the energy of joy. To have a thought of joy, a joyous thought. What is that going to do? Okay? That's only going to create experiences which are a like harmony. Okay? And therefore, people who are, if you'll go to a place full of people who are less than joyous, if you'll see it, and I know that you've experienced people like that, they could be the most downest people. It doesn't bother them one bit.
And they cannot have the joy.
No, they can't.
At the moment,
Because the joy is, no, they can't, because no one's going to take away my joy, because they're really joyous. And they won't even experience that person, or they'll keep moving. It won't affect them.
That's true.
Okay? This is a natural thing that our brains are always wired to do. Always seeking a consistency with what is going on in our inner world. Okay? So that's what I see write about here, or I attempted to write about here. Okay? With the tuning forks. Okay? So skip the paragraphs that I just did. Okay? Let me just see at note 9 what I wrote down, because sometimes I don't remember. So look at note 9 on the opposite side of the page. This is also brought down in the Malbim's explanation of the tabernacle the Israelites built in the wilderness. It's a fantastic perush and a commentary there. The wilderness, the tabernacle, everybody figure that out, right? No, everybody aware of it, right? Takes up basically many parshas in Shemot, all of Vayikra, right? Basically what goes on in that tabernacle. Okay? And which is the temple, the Beit HaMikdash. So he explains there, if there are 2 instruments, this is what he brings down in a room. One in one corner and one in the other. One of them big and the other small. If I were to strike the chord on one instrument, right? So say the small one, the same chord on the other instrument will also resonate. One corner, big instrument, hit on the cello. The same chord, very fine, but it will also start to resonate because it's in the room, it's in the air. The same thing by the tabernacle. The tabernacle, it resonates, it has a resonance which is in resonance with the upper spheres, the entire cosmos. And not only that, it resonates with humans, with man. Because it really is a kind of a conduit, kind of a vortex, a connection between all of the universes, the tabernacle, and man. Body parts, man, and also the cosmic spheres. Everything is an unbelievable alignment principle of resonance. Okay? It's a house for the Shekhinah and the divine presence. Okay? So, going on here. Where am I? Okay, we're starting in the last, I think second to last paragraph there. The same way, it begins with the same way. The same way our thoughts produce vibrations, and the thoughts we think produce those vibrations only know how to find harmony with experiences in the same tone. A wheat kernel only knows how to produce wheat. A corn kernel only knows how to bring forth corn. Wheat can't make corn, and corn cannot become wheat. High vibration levels attract higher experiences, and low vibrational thinking bring lower experiences. This is even in the scientific world. An optimistic patient, a doctor would always say that the person who's more optimistic in terms of whatever illness stands a better chance of surviving than someone with a depressed, because depressed, sad, loathsome, despair, as Rabbi Nachman says, there is no despair. Ein yehush ve'olam bechlal. Person should never avoid despair in any way, shape, or form, because that is Gehenna itself. Okay? I bring that down in a later chapter. Okay? There's one force that gets you out of Gehenna, and that's hope. And a Jew always has hope.
Why should you never avoid?
Why should you always avoid despair?
Oh, I thought you said
Sorry, my words. Okay? Always avoid despair. Never despair. Never. A Jew doesn't have despair. Okay? Yes.
But when you are actually in a state of diminished energies, wouldn't it be good to be truthful to that diminished state so that you can express it in the hopes of changing?
Okay, you said that the answer, hopes. Okay, there's a diminished state. The energy level is low. I will agree. There's some kind of thing that happened. Okay, and what's now? So you're in test mode. Okay, so it could be that why did that happen? A mistake you made, right? You can learn from it. Okay, but the idea really is to have that hope. You're going to get out of it. You're going to learn from it. You're going to morph it. You're going to get out of it. You got to stay happy.
It's more for learning.
You got to, yeah, but never to stay down. See, the idea of Cain, right? Remember, he offered that offering and it didn't get accepted, and he just, right? And God says, "You better get up, boy." Yes, God came from Texas. You better get up, boy. Because you stay down there, he's going to get you more. Right? That bad one's going to get you down, and you're going to stay down. You got to be resilient. You got to bounce back up. I've always learned this. The rabbis always taught me. You fall, you get back up. You got to bounce back up. Do not stay down, because lepetach hatas rovates, sin crouches at the door. You stay down there, it's going to get you. It's going to get you worse. You cannot. You have to be able to bounce out of it. Now, I'm telling you, the theme of this book and the theme of everything that I'm talking about all the time is going to, I borrow it from some outside place called state management. Okay? How to manage your state. Okay, it's all about that, because your thoughts are going to dictate, and Judaism demands this. You have to dictate your state of mind all the time. Yeah.
Okay, we had discussed the Parsha, this week's Parsha, in class with Rabbi Wolbe, Parsha's bow, and he talked about bitachon. So when this happens, you have to connect with God. He said trust Him. You have to and trust yourself. And it's
Okay. The idea here is never despair.
for sure.
That's why when she saw, I think when I heard a Perush recently that when she saw Batia went and saw Moshe, when Moshe was in the river and saw it and saw the Nar Boche, the child was crying. It wasn't an unusual cry. How did she know it was a Jew? It wasn't like you saw in the Ten Commandments because he was a Jewish Hebrew cloth. Okay? Charlton Heston, you mean on the Hebrew? Okay? And he's like fumbling with the cloth in everybody's face. Okay? It wasn't that. Okay? This was in your bed when we got you out of the river. Okay? It wasn't that. Okay? She saw a nar boche. He was crying, but it wasn't a cry of despair. It was a cry of hope, and that's the Jewish cry. The Jewish cry is always a cry, but always a cry of hope. Okay? Always. All right?
We've been impressed for a while,
What?
We've been impressed for a while, pretend like we haven't been impressed.
Listen, thank God for the Arizal who explained it. It's about elevating the sparks.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on a spark hunt, spark gathering, right? Pac-Man is a little bit off, but okay. The idea, okay. But if that helps you, whatever floats your boat, man. Okay. So in any case, okay. Okay. So the idea really here is, like I said, state management. It's all going to be about state management. Manage your state, because there's thoughts that you can have that are empowering thoughts, energetic thoughts, inspiring thoughts. And I'm going to tell you, bottom line, Torah and Judaism has it locked in a way that nobody else can even come close to. And that's, but they only get you to a certain level. Because why? They don't incorporate Ein Sof, God, in the picture. Okay, you can be successful, multi-millionaire, buy islands and do whatever you want to with the power of your mind and your state man, blah, 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 but it doesn't connect to God in a sincere way. Okay, we're here. It's about relationship with God, and you can't keep the state. You cannot if you don't have God, right? If you have those low-level wavelength vibrational segments. If you don't have God, you're finished. You're finished. Right? If you don't, you're finished. Only God, only the infinite one can show us a way. And there's nothing else to hang on to, and it makes so much sense. Okay? Because we were created by infinite, and we're here to have a connection with infinite. Okay? So I think, where am I? Last paragraph. What does this tell us? Right? We better become aware and careful of the thoughts we think. Because good thoughts produce a positive force, a good angel, whereas bad thoughts bring about a negative and a destructive force. So you see where thoughts of depression, how much they can affect a person, and get this, and now it needs to be worked out. Thoughts of fear. There's a lot of things that most people are motivated by fear.
That's a disconnect from God.
Right? It's a total disconnect. It's a fallen fear. And the idea really is how to elevate those fears, and we'll get to that in Yirtzeh Hashem. But the idea here is to know that if you ever have a thought of a fear and it grips you, you better get off that, and it's all in the mind. It's consciousness. So the big rule, I should write it down here, is I am greater in consciousness than any thought or fear. Say that, okay? I am greater in consciousness, meaning my ability to think, than any idea of fear.
So fear is the depressed state of being?
Yes. Well, there's the kosher fear, right? There's the kosher fear, is fear, awe of God. And the awe of God is like a wondrous awe of God. That's the ultimate fear. So, this is what you do. And I did it today. This week I had it. I was gripped with an unbelievable fear. I'll share with you. I'm not going to leave you hanging, buddy. Okay? I like to share my personal things, okay? It makes things more live and active. Okay? So, but just to tell you the rule is, okay, I'm gripped with this fear. So first of all, you have to do is, thank you, God, for this feeling of fear. That's the first thing to do. Because you have to know what you have to do with that fear is you have to elevate it, and you have to say, God, I have this feeling of fear. Thank you very much. I would like to elevate it to have a real awe of you. How can I elevate this? And you might not have the answer, but you have to have the vibration that you know God is going to give you the answer. And we're going to go through all this. There's a whole theme of this book. Okay? is your thoughts, you think you can elevate it. And your attitudes is everything, okay? That I know I have this thought of fear. Please, God, how do I elevate it? So I had an unbelievable thought of fear that I was going to travel. I needed to travel that day to San Antonio. And I don't know why, but, I was gripped. It came to me. What happens if, I better drive carefully. I better make sure I say my tefillas haderech because, people, road accidents, and I don't, if I die, fine, I'm okay with dying. Okay, well, God forbid. Okay, but because my family needs me. But I'm worried about, let's say, what happens if I get paralyzed? God forbid. What happens, right? I get in a car accident, someone hits me, some jerk or whatever, or I make a mistake on the road, fumbling with whatever. Okay, the fear came to me. I mean, a genuine fear. Okay, so I said, wow, thank you, God, for this fear, of me worrying about traveling and back and forth to San Antonio. Thank you, God. And now how can I elevate this to be a real awe of you, a wondrous, great awe of you, an appreciation? So you know what I did? So what came to my mind at that time was, wow. So therefore, I can imagine as if I had been paralyzed, and God gave me a day where I could walk today, right here and now. And he gave me the ability to stand and walk, and I can actually move, and I can do things. What would I do? How would I feel to be blessed this moment if God would give me a day? Imagine my whole life I was paralyzed, and all of a sudden I could walk today. How would I feel? I would feel very grateful, wouldn't I? I would feel very energetic, wouldn't I? I would feel so grateful. I would say, I only want to use my feet to do a mitzvah. I only want to use my hands to do a mitzvah. And I would be very grateful. So I say, thank you, God, for helping me to appreciate the fact that I could walk now, and I can talk, and I can move, and I can move my body. So I elevated that, okay? That's one way you could do it. That's just you taking an external fear and elevating it, okay? I'm just saying that's a vibe. So therefore you switch the vibration. Instead of being fearful the whole day, oh my gosh.
You get it. It's not related.
Why is it not related?
First you're talking about driving and worrying about that. Now you're talking about being paralyzed. How did they get together?
No, I'm sorry. If people have had accidents before, and like we know somebody in the community who had a close call who could have been paralyzed from the neck down. God forbid. If the break in his spine was just a little bit different, he would have been paralyzed. He wasn't, Baruch Hashem. Huge miracle. Huge miracle. Okay? So let's say, God forbid, for some other person, people do get in accidents all the time and they lose their ability, right? So that was a fear that I had.
Right.
So how did I elevate that fear? I did an imagery in my mind, picturing as if, let's say it already happened.
Nice.
And let's say now God gave me today the ability to walk. How would I feel? I'd be joyous. Okay? All right. All right. So I'm just saying the idea of a fear, right? Or any idea of limitation, just to be aware of it. The first thing is just to be aware of the thoughts and the ideas and the feelings that are coming through us all the time. And then, of course, then the next step would be to elevate them. And then, and the way to elevate it is, of course, is there any thought that you cannot think? Is there any thought that you cannot think? Automatically, a thought is a concept. If it's a concept, you should be able to think it. I would reasonably, it seems that way, right? If it's a concept, why can't you conceptualize it? So if there's no so therefore the thoughts are way beyond anything, and this is just a habit. Just think. Look at the fear. Once you look at the fear, as just a habit, then that means what? What am I? So I'm a soul, right? And I'm in the image and likeness of God. Therefore, everything goes after the thought, and the thoughts are very powerful. So I could choose another thought. So just to be aware of those, it's a habit. I can change it. Okay? I can shift it. Okay?
The answer is, you could just switch the thought, not just to parallel, but just something positive.
Well, you have to go, yes. Yeah.
So these vibrations that you're talking about with fear, do those have to do with angels too? Are there angels?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Good question. So, if a person has a thought of fear, that's an angel that's created. And that's a vibration. And that vibration only knows how to find harmony with the like vibration. Vibrations of fear find fearful experiences to be afraid of. And therefore it compounds more things to be afraid of. Okay? And it starts a track, and then the person is afraid, and it overtakes them. And of course it limits you can't even think anymore. Right? And you don't make correct decisions. So that vibration, yes, is an angel. And it only creates experiences which are in harmony with that. I know a story. I didn't verify the story, but it was told to me by somebody who was pretty reliable. And I don't know who he heard. This woman was afraid her whole life of her daughter getting kidnapped. She had this unbelievable fear, wouldn't let sight of her, wouldn't let her out of her sight, total control freak, everything. That daughter ended up getting kidnapped. Now, they retrieved the daughter, Baruch Hashem, she was okay, but it happened. Of all the people to get kidnapped, this person was in a vibrational, fear-based, sending almost angels' energies ahead of her to create a reality of that situation. It's an extreme case, but the idea really is for us, you got to learn how to nip it at the bud. Okay?
I think the other way it creates the good angels.
Absolutely. The real idea here is to bring the redemption, okay, is the reason why that we're in exile. And it brings down in the book of Deuteronomy, the book of Devarim, when it lists the 98 curses, huge, unbelievable curses, terrible, terrible curses. Women eating their kids because they're starving, right? Just terrible sicknesses and fears and just lists of them. They have to live when they read it in the shul, in the synagogue, right, on Shabbat. They have to read it in an undertone, right? But of course, it lists why these curses come upon you. God says why. When everybody knows who has read this parsha year after year, and it's the most impactful thing is because you didn't serve God with joy. Betuv levav, taking it easy, merov kol, coming from a place of abundance. In other words, your attitude was off. You did the mitzvahs. You gave tzedakah. You put on tefillin. You went in shul with the siddur. And you did all that. And you did all the mitzvahs. But your attitude sucked. Okay? All these curses because your attitude sucked.
Attitude is everything.
Okay? You didn't do it with joy. Simcha. Right? Simcha, betuv levav, with a good heart, good-heartedness, which I heard recently, a Perush Lubavitcher Rebbe translated it. Take it easy, okay? Which is like the 11th commandment, okay? Okay? Right? Thou shalt lighten up, okay? Like, don't get too freaked out. And merov kol, coming from a place of abundance, not a place of lack. Attitude. And therefore, I read it in Rabbi Azrael Tauber's book. That's the key to redemption, and it certainly makes sense to me. It makes so much sense. All of these exile because of your attitude. So therefore, what's going to get you back out of exile into redemption? Attitude, which means what? Joy.
Correction.
Attitude. Well, I like how you attitude correction. That's kind of like, okay. I don't know about that one. Okay. Attitude adjustment. Okay. I don't know where that came from, but it's funny. Okay. In any case, you got to master joy. Because when you master doing it with joy from the right attitude, that's going to be your redemption. Right?
It's an attitude of gratitude.
Everything. More than just attitude. You got to be actively involved with joy, like loving every Jew, doing things for every Jew, doing this mitzvah with joy, doing this with joy. How much more joy? So you got to master joy. Okay? You got to master simcha. Okay? And that's an energy that only knows how to produce an energy with a like vibration. The Shemi Shmuel brings down, Sogat Sheva Rebbe brings down, the angel only know one energy. All the angels of the universe only know, the angels of God and the astral spheres and the other dimensions only know one energy. They only know the energy of joy. They don't know anything else. So that's why if you do a mitzvah without joy, it doesn't go up because the angels got to bring that to Shemayim, to heaven, right? And it doesn't go anywhere. It gets stuck. Because it's dead. Because it's a dead mitzvah. The angels there's no resonance. The A doesn't meet the E. They don't meet. They don't connect. There's no connection. Okay? So here, let's finish this paragraph. Scientists at the top of that page, right? Scientists estimated that a person thinks at least 60,000 thoughts a day. I've told you this before. Some people have heard the person who wrote Practical Kabbalah. His name eludes me now. It's a great rabbi from Australia. Fantastic. I've heard him speak. No, that's somebody else. Okay? Wolf.
Yes.
Rabbi Wolf, right? Fantastic. He said 100,000 thoughts a day. I don't know where he got his number from. Label Wolf. Thank you. In any case, I heard someone say 60,000, 100,000. It's a lot, folks. Now consider, this is important now. This is the step number 2. One is, whoa, we are creational, dynamic energies that are constantly creating, bringing about a lot of the experiences in our life. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel freaked out. We're realigning ourselves, okay? But the idea here is like all of your experiences came from your stinking thinking, okay? So now consider if 30,000 of these thoughts are thinking one way, I want such and such, and another 30,000 of the thoughts want something else, right? I want to lose weight, but I want to eat as much chocolate cake as I want to, okay? Which results in massive confusions. It's like an airplane with one engine facing one direction, while a second engine on the other side of the plane is facing another direction, right? That the aircraft isn't going anywhere. Rabbi, my life is just like spinning. Why don't I get anywhere, okay? So that's why people come, why is my life, right? So that aircraft isn't going anywhere because it's spinning in circles, which answers the complaint, why, Rabbi, why is my life not going anywhere? So in other words, the idea really is going to be, bottom line, focus of thoughts, okay? Focused of thoughts and energy, okay? Don't forget, the energy, there's lots of kind of thoughts that we think. Some thoughts are like the ticker tape on the bottom of the screen, there's a news feed on the bottom of the screen. It's always going, okay, those don't really have much weight to it. But then you'll have the thoughts of conviction, and the deeper conviction creates the experience. So the idea here is to gather the convictions of those, right, into like a focus. When you gather the conviction, the convicted thought, I can do this. No doubts. Doubts are a vibration. No, you can't, right? Right? Takes it away, takes off the focus. Maybe not. Maybe I can do it. Maybe not. If 30,000 are going, I can do this, and 30,000 are going, no, you can't, right? 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 No, there isn't a no, you can't. Okay? There's so much we can do with this.
At least there's got to be a maybe. Maybe I can.
Not even. Now, well, you're right. You're right. Now, listen, there are limitations, obviously, that are going to hit us right in the face, like, I want to fly. No, you can't fly. You can fly if you get on a plane or an airplane or something like that. But really, I cannot fly. If I flap my arms, I'm not going to fly. Okay, that is a reality so far. We haven't figured out how we can actually fly with our bodies. Maybe, eventually, we'll get there. We will get there. It brings down in the prophecies in the end of days. Believe me, when everything has come, everything down, right? And whatever has happened, has occurred. The people of Chutz La'aretz, the people who lived outside of land of Israel, will notice the people in the land of Israel will be able to fly around. That's what the language it brings. What does that mean? I don't know. But it says they will be like going, either teleporting between one place to another or flying. But they'll ask them. They'll go, how come you guys can do that and we can't? Right? Because they come from Texas too, right? How come you guys can do that? We can't, right? Right? So the people in Israel will say, because we lived here. We hung out here. We stuck it out. You guys settled for your 2-bit job and your beer and your truck over there in Texas, okay? So therefore, eventually they will be able to learn that. Right now, we got to look at the limitations that were obvious, but then there's a big gray area. Big area. That what can we do? How much more can we stretch? Most of us are coming from very limited backgrounds, very limited ideas, very limited. We have to expand that, okay? To go beyond.
Like Bati did with her arm.
All right, we'll stop now.
What's the difference